And I got tired of all these rumors and they hating. I feel my best when I'm worry-free. Mama, don't you worry, ain't nobody hurting me. Yeah, Lord, hear me, I just need some motivation.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show. I'm Aaron. Joining me tonight, as always, is Tom. And, hey, we've got a very special guest tonight. You may have seen her in a pro wrestling ring. You may have seen her on Instagram. I'm pretty sure you've seen her on TikTok if you're a pro wrestling fan. It's Alyssa. How's it going?
Hi, it's going good. How are you?
Doing well. Now, you tell me you're out in California right now. How is the weather out there?
Oh my gosh, it's so hot. It's really hot right now. I think today it was 100 degrees, but I'm really looking forward to getting back to New York and then Scotland next month.
Oh, well, we'll talk about the Scotland thing here in just a little bit, then, because that's kind of interesting. Now, is the California hot? I'm going to be honest, because here where we're at in the Midwest, it can be 89 degrees, and the heat index will say it feels like 110. So is your 100 degrees just like 100 degrees, or does that feel like 120?
Well, it depends. Sometimes it is actually 120 or 125, but usually there's pretty low humidity here.
Yeah, come on, fall weather. That's my favorite. Fall and spring.
Absolutely.
I don't need no winter or summer, to be honest with you, at all. Let's talk about it right off the bat. I came across you by our TikTok channel that we have, and you are constantly showing up with your great makeup tutorials. Not that I need a makeup tutorial, but I find it very fascinating that you have brought the world of professional wrestling into the makeup world. How did that come about for you?
Well, I started doing makeup about a year ago. I never really did makeup before that, except for special events, or for my wrestling shows, I would do like a spider on my eye, and that was pretty much it. I didn't know how to do the rest of makeup stuff at all. I didn't really have a collection, nothing. And I started doing a TikTok with makeup because I was bored. It was the pandemic. I couldn't really do anything else but sit in my room. So I figured I'd make myself a little productive. And I realized it wasn't really taking off because it wasn't different what I was doing. There was a whole bunch of people just doing regular makeup. So I said, you know what, let me try doing wrestling makeup. And the first one I did was Alexa Bliss. And that one just took off. That was my first video to hit over 1,000 views, and I was so excited. I said, well, maybe this is my thing. Maybe this is how I'm gonna really shine a light on women's pro wrestling, but also makeup in pro wrestling, because there are a ton of makeup artists behind the scenes that really do a lot of work to make all these superstars look amazing. So I really started it there, and as I learned more about makeup and learned about different products and just kind of worked on my craft and worked on drawing on my face, which is a whole other thing that I was very new to. It kind of it took off, and it became really fun for me. At one point I was doing a different look every day. It took 8 hours for each look, and then I kind of slowed it down a little bit because that's a little much. But I mean, it really took off, and it still, I can't believe how many people really love looking at my videos.
Yeah, it's something for everyone of all ages, especially if you're a pro wrestling fan, because like you're talking about, I will sit and watch it, and I never would have thought I would watch it, but I watch it, and I watch your transformation, and my 9-year-old daughter absolutely loves watching you do it.
Oh, thank you.
You know, so you're reaching a whole different type of platform of all ages, and you're bringing, like you're saying, pro wrestling to the forefront and helping bring exposure to some athletes.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I started out actually I did a makeup look for an independent wrestling superstar. She actually just made her debut on AEW Dark the other night. I think it was last night. And her name is Masha Slamovich, and she started reposting my stuff, and we actually trained at the same place, and we just realized the other day. So that was interesting. But yeah, that's one of the first looks I did before I really got into doing all WWE stuff, and then eventually AEW stuff.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, and I'm the kind of wrestling fan who loves the special gimmicks with the face paint and all of the wide variety of colors and those kind of things. And I could literally sit and watch those things for hours.
Thank you. Yeah,
Have
that's
you-
something that was really important to me when I started my wrestling career, is that I looked different. That's why I used to draw a spider around my eye, just because nobody else was really doing a ton of makeup on their face. They were doing basic makeup just to look nice and look good for the cameras. And I was like, well, I mean, I have cool gear, I guess, but it's nothing that'll make me stand out. Let me see what else I can do to make me stand out. And the makeup just really caught on.
Now, have you got any response from any talent as far as WWE goes or AEW goes?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, actually, in the beginning, I was getting likes and comments from, I got one from Bianca Belair, Nikki Cross, Io Shirai. I got Candice LeRae. I mean, Naomi. There were a whole bunch for a long time. It seemed like every single look I was doing got a response for probably about a month, which was really cool. None of the men's looks got responses, but I don't really expect the male WWE superstars to be really looking on makeup TikTok. But a lot of the women's ones did. And then AEW's Glam Squad actually contacted me to help them out with a contest and kind of just show people what I was doing. I ended up entering the contest myself and winning, which was awesome. I didn't expect to win. I thought I was just entering just for the heck of it, because I was like, oh, this is what I do anyway. And I did a look inspired by Chris Statlander, and she loved the look. She commented on it. She sent me a message on Instagram. That was super cool. And then she announced me as one of the winners. So
now, is there any look that's been your favorite so far?
I really, really liked the Chris Statlander look, and I loved doing the Io Shirai makeup look I did, because it was just different. They actually took down the audio on TikTok, so I have to repost it. But that one was a really fun look. It was kind of like yellow strobe lights all over my face, with face makeup, but that one was a really fun one to do.
Now you said that you don't think that the male wrestlers probably watch it. I bet they do. They just may not tell anybody.
That's possible.
I consider myself a fairly macho guy, and sometimes maybe too much, but my wife will literally watch makeup videos before we go to sleep, and I find myself drifting over to her phone and just watching them because it's amazing. It's complete art, and I like art of all kinds. And you can the talent that is there's passion behind that talent, and you can see it unfolding in just a few minutes. And I think it's fascinating. Now, I don't really, now this is out for the world, or will be, but I don't go around just telling people that. But I expect that they've probably seen it and they think it's cool too, even though they don't say anything about it.
Okay, that makes sense. I could see that. It's like I did a look inspired by The Undertaker and Kane. That one I think got over 150,000 views, or maybe 200,000. And same with my Shield look that I did. And I was like, wow, these are getting like crazy amounts of views and likes. I'm surprised that I haven't gotten any attention of any of the superstars that were in these looks, but maybe that could very well be.
That Undertaker and Kane was my favorite. So
thank you.
I can tell you that I guarantee you that's what it is. They may not acknowledge it publicly, but they're looking at it and they think it's awesome too. I guarantee it.
Oh, thank you.
So when it comes to pro wrestling right now, how did you get actually into pro wrestling? And what was your first actual memory of pro wrestling?
So I definitely started getting into pro wrestling in middle school. It was on at a family gathering. One of my cousins had turned it on. And I remember that The Miz and R-Truth were a tag team at the time, I'm pretty sure. And I also remember seeing CM Punk on the screen, and I think AJ Lee had come out around that time. And I just saw how good they were on the mic. And I've noticed a pattern in my favorite wrestlers. They're all really good on the mic, whether it be CM Punk, AJ Lee, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Who else? I mean, yeah. Oh, and Becky Lynch. Those are my absolute favorites. And I think it's because they really don't care what people think of what they have to say, and they just say it and you believe them. And whether they're a heel or a face, you're going to root for them because you just love them on the mic. So my first memory of wrestling was watching it at a family gathering and just seeing how good they were on the mic. And it made me think, wow, if I could do that someday, that would be amazing. Plus AJ Lee looked like a normal person, whereas the rest of the superstars, the female superstars, all look like supermodels. And it kind of seemed unattainable for me, being 5'4" and not really supermodel material. So yeah, that's definitely my first memory of wrestling. And what made me get into it was definitely the fact that AJ Lee looked like I could attain that, and if she can do it, I could do it, kind of thing.
And so you end up going to work with Johnny Rods. Is that correct? Tell us how that's been so far.
So I started training under Johnny Rods in August of 2019. I had just moved back to New York from California. I spent my whole childhood in New York, went to California to finish high school the last 2 years, and then kind of lived around the world between high school graduation and my senior year of college. So I went back to New York City for my senior year of college, and I always thought to myself growing up, if I ever have the chance to be a pro wrestler, I'm going to take it. But that'll never happen. That'll never happen. And I ended up moving to Brooklyn, and it turned out I lived right near WUW where Johnny Rods trained. And I said, well, I always said, if I have the chance, I'll take it. So I'm going to take it. And I took it, and I started training in August. I was in my first show in October. So, I mean, I really love it. And I loved it from the moment I stepped into that ring, and I was there every minute I could be there. Between work, school, and wrestling, I definitely, it was all worth it.
So what was the training like when you first started? Was it what you thought it would be, or was it something completely different?
Well, it was a little different than I expected. I mean, I'm the type of person that really likes to take on more than I can handle at the beginning. I really like to take on a challenge, and I had been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a year before. So I was like, just let me do the bumps. Let me take every bump that you throw at me. And I mean, I'm going to do this. And they made me start really slow. I probably did rolls for about a week and a half before I got to do anything, even a clothesline. So, I mean, it was definitely different than I expected. But like when I was younger, I learned how to play guitar. I didn't learn the chords when I was learning to play guitar. I was learning technique. And the technique in wrestling is so important. And just the basic skills are so important, because you will not be able to do any of the other skills without these basic skills and mastering these basic skills, such as a roll. So
I love that answer. I love that whole answer as far as the technique with the guitar. That is, something that, no one's really put it that way towards us.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I learned guitar, though, because you can learn chords anywhere. You could just buy a poster or look them up online, but you can't learn technique from a sheet online. So, and it kind of goes with the same with wrestling. You can watch it as much as you want, but until you master the basic technique of even just a roll, you're not going to go anywhere. So I thought that was very interesting. Not what I expected, but I'm very happy I started out that way.
Were you intimidated a little bit being in, I don't know what your training class looked like, but I would assume you had some bigger men, some bigger women in there, some people that were more physically fit, definitely, I'm sure. Were you a little bit intimidated a little bit going in there, especially with somebody like Johnny Rods?
A little bit, but I try and take things one step at a time. I always present myself as not knowing everything and really open to learning anything people have to tell me. whenever I did something, even if they'd say it was good, I would ask for feedback. What can I do better? Because there's always something you can do better. Even if they say there's nothing, there's always something. And I think it was really important to go in with a mindset like that.
So was there anything that was kind of difficult at first that you really had to kind of focus hard on to get down?
After roles, when I tried to learn bumps for the first time, bumps in wrestling are much different than they are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I was falling, hitting my head over and over and over, and I just couldn't get it. It felt like for probably 2 months, I was just not doing it right. And then all of a sudden one day it clicked. And I still do bumps, not necessarily as good as they should be. I've been out of the wrestling gym for about a year now because of COVID. So I'm going back next month, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, bumps were definitely very, very hard to do. But one of my trainers, he told me, look, you're gonna do these bumps because you want to be here. And if you get hurt in the ring, at least you're getting hurt doing something that you love and you're really passionate about. So I thought that was an interesting way to put it, as in, it doesn't matter if you get hurt as long as you love what you do and it's worth it in the end, I guess.
Now, after you had your first match, what was that feeling like?
Amazing. I was just like on a high for probably a week. I just couldn't believe that I had my first wrestling match. It was live streamed on Twitch and it was a full audience, and I'm a heel, so people were chanting traitor at me and just like booing me. It was the greatest feeling. And I'm such a like not a heel in real life that it was so much fun to play the bad guy for the first time. And yeah, it was an amazing feeling. I felt like I could do anything.
Now, during this time off, have you been studying a lot of heels to try to help develop your character a little bit more, or faces?
I have, but another facet to my character is I'm also kind of insane and crazy. So I've been really looking at wrestlers that have more of that craziness to them, like Alexa Bliss's gimmick, but even her gimmick before this most recent gimmick, where she was kind of just like angry at the world in a way. So I've really been looking at that, and then just how people carry themselves around the ring when they're a heel, but also a little bit crazy.
Now, you talked about, go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead.
No, we talked about also going to school and going to college. So was there a backup plan for you in case maybe wrestling didn't pan out, or is there still a backup plan and you're always keeping your options open?
Well, I've actually always kept my options open, and I've always kind of gone in multiple directions at once and kind of just picked up on whatever I was having fun with. Like, I released an album in 2018 with 6 songs that I wrote by myself, produced the album in San Diego and sang on the album. And that was fun for me. And then I'm also a screenwriter. I worked for Netflix in London in 2018 as well. And I lived in Australia and worked for their largest entertainment booking agency over there, and got to work with the Justin Bieber tour and the Green Day tour. I mean, I've kind of just loved doing all of these different things, and whatever I have fun with, I stick to, but I always go all out in everything I'm interested in. I've also tried acting. I was on a show on the Oxygen Network for 3 episodes, different character each episode. I was just an extra. But I mean, everything that I've tried, I've really gone all out in, and I don't ever quit what I'm doing, but sometimes I'll pursue something more than others. Like wrestling, I've definitely pursued very heavily in the last couple of years, for sure. But why I'm going to Scotland is actually I'm writing an original television series. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that, and I got a scholarship to do my master's, and that is actually my master's, is writing a television series. So, and thankfully, right next door to where I'm living is a very big pro wrestling training facility, Glasgow Pro Wrestling Asylum. And I think Kaylee Ray trains there, and they shoot stuff for the WWE network over there. And they seem like they were very interested in having me train there. So I'm very interested in training there.
Listen, in our line of work, in our shoot jobs, there's a saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Right? And that, like, and I always consider myself the greatest overachieving underachiever ever. Right? But you're like a Swiss Army knife.
Thank you.
Like, my Lord, like, me and you're going to talk after this podcast because I've got a project for you.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I can't even unpack everything you just said there. I have so many follow-up questions. Like, what kind of music do you sing? And what kind of music do you like to listen to? And then, something I'm very passionate about is people who actually, do the acting for the art of acting and things like that. But that's just tremendous that you have your hands in things.
Thank you.
I get what you say whenever you're talking about maybe biting off a little bit more than you can chew sometimes. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So which of those are you most looking forward to in the next 6 months? I mean, what is, out of all of that stuff, what is something that you're just really looking forward to?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to my move to Scotland and really embracing just everything the country has to offer. I'm also looking forward to wrestling over there because I don't know if there's a different style to Scottish wrestling. So that'll be interesting. It'll also be interesting to get back in a ring full time. So that'll be really fun. I don't really do too much acting anymore. I haven't done that in a couple of years. I kind of just did that for fun, just on the side, and I ended up getting every role
just for fun.
Well, yeah, just for fun. I figured one day I was like, let me apply for a few auditions, and I went up to Los Angeles and auditioned, and every role that I auditioned for I got, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, they weren't big roles, but they were tiny extras roles, and other people didn't get them. So it was just a shocker to me that it worked out every single time. And I still can't believe sometimes that I released an album a few years ago and did a music video, and that's on YouTube, and none of them were entirely like huge successes, but I mean, I can't believe it.
I get that. It may not be a success to some people, but it's a success to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's all that matters in the grand scheme of things. And I get a little bit tired sometimes. Even our podcast, we hear people, you don't have Stone Cold Steve Austin on your podcast. It's just like, no. Well, do you have no? And it's like, you're missing the point. The point is for us to bring acknowledgement to these younger talents and to people that you may not have heard of. I know you know who Stone Cold is. But yeah. I need you to know who Alyssa is, because in 10 years, she's either going to be winning an Oscar, a Grammy, a Slammy Award. I mean, at this point, I don't know what you're going to be winning. But I don't know either. I want people to know, and that's the success for me and Tom. It's not about, we don't make any money off of this. Yeah, I mean, we can with some t-shirt sales from PWTs, but it's about just the exposure and us having fun.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we let you go, tell everyone where they can find you on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and wherever else.
Well, on TikTok, you can find me at the Alyssa Bliss List, and you can also find me on Instagram at that name. If you're looking for my wrestling Instagram, that's actually a different username. That's at AlyssaBeth613, and that's also me on Twitter, but my Twitter is kind of just a rumbo jumbo of random things. I don't think it'll really make too much sense to everyone. I also brought my gear if you guys wanted to see it.
Absolutely.
So these are what I normally wear. I started sewing a new set probably like 2 months ago. It's not finished yet, but that one's going to be purple and black. But this is what I usually wear. And then I have a leather jacket that I wear out to the ring. So I just brought that in case you guys wanted to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna get you back on here. There's no
you.
doubt about it, because there is just so much to unpack, like Tom was talking about. Like, you're probably one of the most interesting guests we've ever had on this show.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. For everyone else out there, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. And if you are heading out to any shows over the next couple of weeks, make sure you are taking care of yourself, because last thing we want is for pro wrestling to be shut down in any form. And everyone's safety, of course, is the main focus right now. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. On behalf of myself and Tom, thank you all for our very first year. Couldn't have done it without anybody out there. We knew we would have 2 subscribers, me and him, and then we knew we'd have 2 more because we'd make our wives. But outside of that, it's a blessing each and every single week that we're able to bring you all a show. And so thank you all for buying all the merchandise that you all have, and all the kind words, and all of our guests for the last year. For everyone out there, though, we'll be back with season 2 coming up here at the end of the month. We're already got some great guests lined up. September's already packed. And plus, I'm going to head over to the NWA and Power Show, and hopefully to make some good connections there as well. So thank you, Alyssa, very much.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us. And everyone out there, thank you all, and have a good night.